What's up, everybody? Welcome to Crush City Territory presented by Fox One. I'm Chandler Rome, joined by Tyler Stafford and Josh Reddick. Guys, since the last time we talked, we finally have a little bit of clarity on the future of the Houston Astros. Both Dana Brown and Joe Espada will return for the 2026 season, which I think had been hinted at by their public comments. But trust me when I tell you, there were no assurances given. No one really in the front office, no one within the building really kind of knew for sure what this was going to look like until, I believe it was Tuesday when whoever wanted it out there got it out there that both of these guys will be back. Clearing up one interesting thing that I did find out in reporting, Dana Brown did not have a club option on his contract. His contract just was guaranteed running through 2026. So the club option part of it was not accurate, that they were weighing on whether to pick up a club option. Joe Espada, as was known, his contract runs through 2026. So there is a little bit of uncertainty just given that both of these guys are, quite frankly, entering this season as lame ducks. They've got one more year left on their contracts, and then there's a lockout supposedly happening in 2027. We'll see how that goes. But I think for continuity's sake, and, we talked about this, guys, like, I don't think either of these guys was responsible for – you couldn't hold them accountable for the Astros missing the playoffs in 2025. But still one of those things with Jim Crane, you never know how it's going to end up. But I think it was, for continuity and stability-wise, the right move.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean – like we talked about, I don't think there was any glaring issues that you could point to and say it was definitely GM's fault or definitely the manager's fault. They missed the playoffs by one game. And like we said, the difference is, like, if you were going to blow it up and try something different next year, then it could make sense to bring in new leadership. But I mean, the Astros are essentially just trying to run it back with a few, minor pieces that they're not changing the core of the team or anything like that. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense to bring those guys back. The 1 year left is certainly interesting for both of those guys. I mean, as the documentary Moneyball taught me, Philip Seymour Hoffman wouldn't manage a team with just 1 year left. So, yeah, I know. Best American actor of all time. He's incredible. But yeah, that's what that taught me. So that's interesting. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense to bring those two guys back for sure.
I 100% agree. I mean, I've been one of Joe's supporters since the beginning. I mean, like I said, he's always known how to control that team. He just jumped right in, knew how to run that team. But when you look back, yeah, he made one game, missed the playoffs by one game with a team that probably shouldn't even been that close with what they went through. But as far as like extensions and 1 year contracts go, like, you see it all the time. Like, managers and general managers always get like those weird extensions in like July. They start off April hot, and then all of a sudden they've got a 3-year extension added to their name on a Monday. So, like, off season didn't really, once they've got it, the off season doesn't really play in for those guys. So, like, if Joe and those guys come out hot, they could add on another year or two to that as well. But you got to give those guys credit. I mean, what they did and what they had was pretty fantastic. And obviously, you wanted to make the playoffs when you didn't, but when you look at it, they missed it by one game in so many different ways they could have made it. And you got to think when they're healthy, it's not even, they're going to win that division by 8 games. You would think when you look back at the numbers now.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that maybe freaked out some fans that were clamoring for more change, if you will, is they see the news that Joe Espada and Dana Brown are back, and they just presume that the Astros are going to run everything else back. That is not the case. I can tell you on authority that there will be changes, and we've talked about it since their season ended in a couple weeks ago. We've talked. There will be changes here. What they are, I'm not sure yet. I can say I think they're in the process right now of starting to enact some of those changes. So you may see some stuff start to pop here in the next week or so. But again, I don't want to start speculating or anything like that. These are people's livelihoods. These are people's, jobs, and certainly don't want to do that to them. But rest assured, there will be changes here. Josh, I don't want to put you on the spot, but as you kind of look at this, like where would you, or what would you maybe change if you're in the manager's seat and if you're Joe Espada, what after this would you be looking to change or to retool, reimagine, anything like that?
Oh man, that is putting me on the spot, Chandler. So
Yep.
thank you for that. Luckily, I don't have to make that decision. But if I'm looking at something, I'm looking at how getting back from injury is something that we got to improve on. I think that's whether that's players getting after it, training staff getting after it, strength coach, whatever. I'm not calling anybody out, which I never will, because you never know what it's coming from. So at that point, there's got to be something to where getting players back and making sure they're healthy before they come back, so they don't have to go back on it. Take that extra 2 weeks that you need that may cost you the month and a half later down the road, just to make sure you're 100% ready to go. I know we've had plenty of listeners and followers and subscribers talk about firing the hitting coaches. We can't talk about how many times we've done episodes where the hitting coaches are main topic of conversation. But, I like these guys. These guys have been through the ringer of everything from success to now, a fall in September. But these guys have done a fantastic job for the most part in the hitting department. Once these guys walk up into that batter's box, they're completely on their own. And these guys do a fantastic job. They have a great split when they're in the cage. They have a great time. They listen. They have all the access you need to everything. And I think those guys are fantastic. So if I see one of those two guys, if both of those guys go, I'm going to be really, really surprised. But, once this World Series gets over, you're probably going to see some stuff starting to fall.
And let's also make it as to where, it's not, it can be a situation too, where these guys leave for other jobs as well. Like Alex Centron is interviewed for bench coach jobs a couple of places. Troy Snicker is very highly regarded within the industry. The Guardians wanted to talk to him before they hired Stephen Vogt. I don't know if that actually happened. And I don't know that Troy would have been obviously their top choice. Obviously they had Stephen Vogt kind of lined up for that, but just to know that he was getting some attention for managerial, just some thought of being interviewed by a very good organization in the Guardians for their manager role, just kind of shows you where these guys sit. Like look, I don't have to sit here and relitigate the Astros offense from the last year. The lineup did not perform. That whether it's fair or not does sometimes fall back on the hitting coaches. We've talked about how fair or unfair that is, but the players didn't perform. But just bear in mind that these guys are well regarded in the industry. There's a chance that these guys could be up for jobs. There's 8 managerial openings right now. All of those 8 openings will ostensibly, all those 8 new managers will have to hire new staffs. Could certainly be candidates to be bench coaches, make moves that are not lateral elsewhere. So it could solve itself that way as well. You never know. But Tyler, are you in agreement with Josh kind of on or do you have different changes that you would make if you were Joe Espada or Dana Brown?
Yeah, I mean, I think like we've talked about all year, something's got to change with the injury prevention and comeback system. I don't know what that looks like, but something has to change there. And then outside of that, as we talked about, like the team that was out there last year, like they hit like you would expect them to hit. Some guys had a little bit underwhelming seasons relative to their career years. Obviously, Christian Walker was the biggest of that. But I mean, outside of that, like most of those guys hit like you would expect them to hit. You're not going to change a lot of that there. So, something's going to happen, and we'll see it in the next couple of days. But yeah, I think you got to start with your health team for sure. Something has to change there.
And it could be a situation, honestly, where like they do make changes in the return to play procedure, where they do make changes with the medical and how they do things, but we never know about them. Like they could change their processes, but they're not going to come out and say like, hey, we're taking them to like a different hospital, or like we're going to change how we image this guy. Like, it may not be as simple as, just getting names out of here. And I know that's what fans always look to. They look to, they want the guys in charge, or they want like names held accountable. That could happen, but they could also just, like James Click talked about a couple of years ago, just do a deep audit on their return to play procedure and then change some things in that procedure that we don't even know about. So rest assured, there will be changes, even if maybe it's not in the traditional way that fans think about it, of this guy got fired, this guy got fired, this guy didn't get renewed, this guy's not coming back. Like, changes will happen. And look, there could be some of what I just said, but there could also be just internal proprietary changes that we never hear about. So
work on base running too. Work on base running. The team, the whole. That's it.
Well, it's weird because like that was one of their big influence. That was one of their big, emphasis coming into spring training, was that they wanted to improve base running. They hired Tony Perez-Chica from the Diamondbacks because they ran the bases.
So easy. You look where the ball is, you make a call. It's not that hard. I don't get it. You don't even need a third base coach. Do it yourself.
Yeah, it's a way to save money. I like that. There's the empty box out there.
How long we're major league players? How long have we been playing this game? We know which way the ball is going to go when it goes to a certain direction. Observe where the field is before the pitch. Not that hard.
They may need to save some money, Tyler, given the state of their payroll, and given some news that came out this week about some estimates that could be given to arbitration guys. We'll talk about that right after.
2 for $5 million, I'll coach.
Okay, there we go. Easy.
That's a money saver right there. Money saver helps me out, helps everybody out. We'll talk about other ways the Astros can save money right after this message from our friends at DraftKings. Football is back, and so is your shot at big wins. With DraftKings Pick 6, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, your game day instincts can score you real money fast. Here's the play. Just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and unlock the upside every snap brings. The better your calls, the bigger your payout. This season, play your player instincts. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL. Play just $5, get $50 in Pick 6 bonus picks. Make the call, ride the upside. In partnership with DraftKings Pick 6, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Welcome back to Crush City Territory, presented by Fox One. Guys, this week you got a little bit of a preview as to what the Astros will be facing payroll-wise this winter, and sort of a look at some of the tough decisions they're going to have to make. MLB Trade Rumors, who great website for anyone that just needs to figure out what's going on, that needs a very quick, bare bones, like here's what's happening in the sport. It's a great resource, but they do something every year. They've got very, very smart people over there that can run some numbers, have a formula, and project the salaries for arbitration eligible players, which we could get into how they figure out arbitration salaries and stuff. Essentially, without boring everyone, it's a formula that they compare every guy that has gone through the process. It's a comparison and a stats-based comparison, like a first-year ARB starting pitcher that produced the same stats maybe as a guy that went through the process 3 years ago. They're going to look at that number, and it's probably going to be about the same. And one of the rules is you have to get a raise every year. You cannot, your salary cannot go down during the arbitration process, even if you don't play. The guys that miss a whole year and that are arbitration eligible next year, they usually get the same salary they had the year before. So that is another rule, that they cannot decrease salary. We'll share the screen right now on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you can take a look. About the Astros have 16 arbitration eligible players this season. And according to MLB trade rumors, they will owe them an estimated $66.7 million, which is a lot of money. Add that to the guaranteed salaries that the Astros have on the books. They have 7 guys that are coming back under guaranteed contracts. It's Correa, Altuve, Walker, Hader, McCullers, and Javier. That's around $135 million toward the payroll. So you start to look at these guys, and it's pretty obvious that not all of these guys are going to be tendered contracts. Like some of the non-tender candidates are pretty obvious. Chas McCormick has not had a great last 2 years. I believe he has a 63 OPS plus across the last 2 years. Luis Garcia is not going to pitch next year. It's a cruel business, but that's kind of part of it, that he'll probably end up getting non-tendered. You start to look at some of the duplicate guys that play the same position. That's where you start to get into some interesting discussions as to who do you want to pay and how much value do you see in them. So the first one you look at both Ramon Urias and Mauricio Dubon. If you go by trade rumors estimates, they're going to earn a combined $10.2 million estimated. They're the same player, essentially. 2 utility infielders that do not play every day, that won't play every day. It's hard to envision the Astros paying $10.2 million combined to 2 players that are not going to play every day and basically the same guy. So you start to look at it, that's an area where one of those guys could be on the outside looking in. Jesus Sanchez is due $6.5 million. I think anyone that watched what happened since the deadline probably understands that, that's probably not a price that they want to pay for him. Also, when you have Cam Smith and Zach Cole and Jacob Melton in the system who are making the league minimum and who would stand to lose playing time or opportunities if Sanchez is on the roster, it's when you start to – so those are the obvious guys, but everyone's going to point to just non-tender. That's a misguided way to think about it. You have to dangle some of these guys in trades because all of the guys I just mentioned, Sanchez, Urias, Dubon, even Jake Myers, if you start to think about it, they all have trade value. So it would behoove them to – the non-tender deadline is November 21st. It would behoove the Astros between now and then to really start making decisions as to which of these guys they see in play on the 2026 roster. And for me, you guys can weigh in here. I think the toughest decisions will come in the outfield. And, we just talked about the Urias Dubon kind of utility role logjam. Those are the toughest decisions they're going to have to make here.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, that the Astros probably don't want to pay those guys, but some team would be thrilled to pay Ramon Urias $4.5 million. The Astros didn't get to see a lot of what makes him very valuable, but he is a very, very good defender, despite really not playing much for the Astros. He finished 10th in the American League in defensive WAR last year. He won a Gold Glove in 2022. He's a really, really good defender, as is Mauricio Dubon. Dubon has some more flexibility in that he plays shortstop a little more regularly than Urias. So if you're looking at a roster construction just for the Astros specifically, obviously Dubon can play third and second and shortstop. Urias typically has been more of a third baseman who plays second base some, but he's a very, very good third baseman. That's not a position of need for the Astros anytime soon. So that makes a lot of sense to trade. And like I said, I mean, $4 million for Urias is a great deal for most teams. It just doesn't make a ton of sense for the Astros. And just like the Astros did when they traded for Jesus Sanchez, there's talent in there. Like a team is going to look at him and say, he looks like a good baseball player when you see him out there. Until you watched him play baseball for the last month, he looks like a good baseball player. And that's certainly still in there. I mean, everybody goes through slumps. I'm not saying that what you saw from him from the last month and a half is what he's going to do over the next year or the next couple of years as somebody who's still going to be under team control. So, I mean, I think certainly both of those guys are trade candidates. I do think you have to retain one of Urias or Dubon. I mean, as we saw last year, I mean, Dubon was the glue for the team with as many injuries as they had and the positional flexibility there. And especially as you go into next year with, an aging Correa, Pena obviously was injured some as well this year. You're going to have, you're going to want to give days off to guys in your infield. So you're going to need somebody that can play a different position every night 100 times a year. And so you need one of those two guys. And I would imagine just for the continuity and vibes, it'll be Dubon. But that doesn't mean that Ramon Urias is just, like you said, you just cut him and let somebody else get him for free. Like he still has value for sure.
Without a doubt. And first of all, arbitration is the worst thing you go through as a baseball player in this professional business, because for those that don't know, it's the team that you play hard for every day, and then you go into 3 off seasons, and all they're doing is telling you how bad you are as a player, just to save them $400,000. So, as a baseball player, this process can be very, very eye-opening and frustrating. Let's just go with that, angering and frustrating, because like I said, they're just trying to point out everything bad. That being said, I agree, Tyler. I think Dubon is obviously the clear choice, not just because of the infield versatility. He can pop out to left, he can pop out to center when they need him to. And, with the Altuve, the Jordan, the who's going to be in left field situation, whether it be Melton or any of those guys, it is a big question. But you still got to hurt. You're going to have to give Cam Smith days off. He's still not ready to play 150 games. His body's just not trained for it just yet. So you bounce some guys around. That gives Doobie some chance to, keep him hot when he's hot and in the lineup. And then, as Doobie does, he does kind of go up and down. Give him those breaks as well. But he's going to be a guy that they definitely need to hold on to. But looking at that list, I think I counted maybe 9 guys that are probably definitely going to stick around. So, I mean, it's going to be, and those aren't even certain. Like, you're looking at maybe like 6 that are 100% in. Like, obviously, like Yiner's probably coming back, barring some crazy trade. I mean, Isak, he's coming back. So you got to just you see the writing on the wall. And like you said with Luis Garcia, this is a business, and that's where it absolutely sucks, because they're going to look at it, well, this guy can't help my team anymore. And regardless of how long he's been in this organization, we've got to do this. And that's the crappy part of the business. But it's, like I said, it's going to be fun when this World Series ends. But when you look at it down and break everything down, I think Dubon is the obvious choice to keep around. Like you said, Chandler, Jeremy Pena's been hurt. You got Correa aging a little bit. So he's definitely going to be that guy that picks him up when they need him to, like he always has been. And he's been there. He's a vibe guy, like you said. He's also a clubhouse guy. So it just makes more sense when you have a guy that's that comfortable and everybody already knows. It just makes that much more sense.
And somebody will give Luis Garcia one of those 2-year deals where they're just paying him to rehab this year and then see what happens the next year. And maybe you get lucky and you get a good player essentially for free. He's going to get something somewhere. But yeah, I mean, his team control ends after this season and he's not going to pitch next season. So there's no way that he's coming back.
And hell, that team could be the Astros, because nothing precludes them from, non-tendering him or passing him through waivers and he's a free agent. They can go re-sign him as a free agent. But again, it would have to be one of those. You can do a creative contract where like the first year is a minor league deal and then it converts to a big league deal the second. There's some interesting contract structures they could have, but that's beside the point. What also wouldn't preclude them from, and I wrote this a little bit in the story I wrote this morning, like they could, like November 21st is just the deadline where they have to tender or non-tender these guys. And the tendering is like giving them a contract offer. That's nothing about the money yet. Exchanging figures and the salary figures, that comes in late December, early January.
Yep.
The November deadline is just, do we want to offer you a contract back? And there are situations where like the Astros could have trade conversations about some of these guys up until November 21st. And if they don't find the package they want, or if like the appeal's just not there yet, or there's some teams that are still kind of wary as to what they need, the Astros can still tender these guys contracts and then still trade them later in the offseason. They can take them through the arbitration process. So like November 21st is not this like drop dead date of like they have to make decisions by then. So you could see some different ways of doing things. Just because they tender a guy a contract on November 21st does not mean necessarily mean he'll be a part of the team. It's just one of those weird, arbitrary dates in baseball that you got to get stuff done. Josh, did you ever go to an arbitration hearing?
I did not. I came probably close. I think it was my second year to going to one, maybe like 3 days before. Actually, no, I had to go to Florida from Arizona. But I remember being I think I was at a lunch one day, and I got my agent was with me actually, and we actually got the call and got the money we wanted. So almost, but not quite.
But did you get to I'm sure your agent Phil Jim, but did you get to hear any of the negotiations back and forth between the team and your agent about what they were saying about money, any of that stuff? Because it is something that I think fascinates a lot of fans, just kind of how this process plays out when a team has to, like you said, tell you, hey, we like you, but you didn't do this well, so we don't want to pay you as much.
Yeah, I specifically remember, I think it was 14 would have been my first year. And I had plenty of conversations about playing through, I had a wrist injury that year. I actually ran into the fence in Houston in the second week of the season and really injured my wrist. And I played through it for probably 3 months. Pain, it affected my hitting, blah, blah, blah. And then I went into arbitration, and they tried to tell me that because my numbers were down, that they were going to pay me enough. And defense didn't matter in arbitration. When literally I was begged by Billy Beane to keep playing every day just because of my defense. He's like, we can get by without you hitting all these home runs, but we want you in right field. So they can tell you one thing in May and June and not give a crap about you when December rolls around. So like I said, it was very angering. So yeah, you definitely, my agents were very open with what they said about me, and wanted me to know everything. That way I could get a full judgment of how the process worked.
It's a cruel business. It can be a very cruel business sometimes, a business that doesn't necessarily value the person. It can be a very numbers-based kind of spreadsheet data kind of business. And arbitration is it's the slimy underbelly it's a necessary evil and the slimy underbelly of baseball sometimes. And the Astros will be very, very involved in that. We'll talk about probably one of the bigger decisions they have is Isaac Paredes, who is, according to MLB trade rumors, their most expensive arbitration eligible player, someone that would be attractive to a lot of other teams, and someone that was pretty indispensable to the Astros this year. We'll talk about the decision they have with him right after another message from our friends at Foul Territory.
FT fam, another reason why you should love Arena Club is the grading system. So you recently pulled a slab pack, and then you said, hey, it's not graded. Grade it for me. They gave you an 8.5 out of 10 on your auto Whitey Ford card. And then they show you all the details of the grading system. It's very interactive within the app. And then you're done. If you want to sell the card or you want to know what it's worth, you've got it.
It's like getting taken to school on cards. And I think that's the coolest part of it. If you're young or old, you understand, hey, this is how it gets deciphered all the way through. It shows you the numbers and how they went through it. I think that's the coolest part about this whole thing. And then you can keep it traded or sell it, do whatever you want.
And it's so much more efficient to do this through Arena Club. Whether you're ripping a pack, there's the slab packs, buying a card, selling a card, grading a card. It's all there for you. We talk about it all season long. arenaclub.com/FOUL is where you can go to give it a shot. 20% off your first card purchase. arenaclub.com/FOUL. Use the code FOUL at checkout and get 20% off.
Welcome back to Crush City Territory, presented by Fox One. Like we mentioned earlier, Isaac Paredes is probably the most fascinating case in this arbitration, in this group of arbitration eligible players and the offseason, really. MLB Trade Rumors projects that Paredes will make $9.3 million in arbitration. He's a Super 2 guy, so he's arbitration eligible for 4 years. So this will be his third time going through the arbitration process. He'll go through it a fourth time next winter, if there even is a winter, who knows, with the lockout or the potential lockout, work stoppage, who knows. But just because he's estimated to make $9.3 million, these things can be over under. I would imagine they are going to try to flirt with a $10 million salary for Isaac Paredes, given everything he did. We've had this discussion. It's been kind of the discussion we've had throughout since the season ended. They have an infield logjam. Isaac Paredes has no place to play as we speak. You look at him, he's been traded enough now. He's been traded 3 times. His profile is coveted by other teams. There are other teams that very much like what he does. You put him in the right ballpark, you can see what his pull power does in the right environment. You start to think about what they could do with him next year. Obviously, no one really thinks he can handle second base.
Red Sox are about to have a third baseman opening.
That's what I was gonna say. And there's a short porch over there that he might enjoy.
But it's going to be, look, Isaac Paredes is not getting non-tendered. Obviously, they want him on the team. But if it comes to a payroll decision and they've got to get rid of some money, you do have to look at the convenient narrative has been, oh, just trade Christian Walker. He's got 2 years, $40 million left. Opens up first base. Paredes can play first base. Problem solved. The problem is, I don't see many teams out there that are going to absorb all 2 years and $40 million left on Christian Walker's deal. You wonder, would it make more sense fiscally if you need to trim payroll, if you need to get payroll to a more controllable point to where you can go make the team better in other areas? Would Paredes probably be the more fiscally sane person to move, because you can move a 10 million, like they have to take on the entire $10 million salary or whatever salary he's going to get in arbitration. That's not the case with Walker. So just another layer to this, but I think what they do with Paredes and in turn Altuve, really, do they want Altuve at second base at all? If not, then it really kind of furthers the discussion. I think what they do with Paredes is a really, really going to be a fascinating part of this offseason, especially when you look at from a money standpoint.
Yeah, I don't care about the money part. I need Paredes' bat in the lineup somewhere. You saw what the Astros lineup looked like last year without him. He is, outside of Jordan, really the only hitter that you can rely on to put up consistently good, professional trademarked at bats. So yeah, he needs to be in the Astros line. They got to find a place to play him, and they can get creative in whatever ways they need to. But whether that is finding a way to move Walker and, maybe eating some of that salary and, extending Paredes, where you're saying, okay, we're not going to have Walker, but we're going to lock this guy up for 5 years and he'll be the first, whatever. I don't care what they do, but there's really, I do not want to see a team that gives up on Paredes and keeps Walker, and really, because the other thing is, there's no other hole in the roster right now to add a bat, right? There's not oh, they've got 2 open outfield positions and you can put in whoever. They've got, a hole somewhere. I guess a catcher, you could make the argument there that there's going to be, some opportunities there, but the lineup is going to look very similar to what it did last year. And the lineup without Isaac Paredes last year was atrocious to watch. And so if that's the lineup they're planning on running out, and I think it is, I want to see Paredes in it.
Josh?
I'm with if you can find a suitor for Christian Walker, then I 100% agree on keeping a guy like Paredes in your lineup. The question is, an American League team's probably not going to touch Christian Walker. My man loves the NL West. That's where he came up. There's really nothing there for him unless, the Rockies aren't taking on money. The Dodgers and Giants are pretty much covered there for a very long time. So I don't know. I don't know where you're going to find a suitor for a guy like that. But yeah, I'm not like Tyler. You got to care about spending money because owners are owners, and if we could all just flaunt it, it'd be great. But other than what you do, if you have to, I mean, gosh, if you have to keep both of them, like, what do you do? If you don't find an option for either one, like, what do you do? You bump Correa to the outfield. He's the only one capable of doing. But no, I mean, it might have to come down with something to where Paredes can get you a pretty good haul back if you need it. But I'm just glad I'm glad I'm not Dana Brown having to make those kind of moves and sit at night wondering what the heck I'm going to do with either one of these guys.
I mean, it's 10 million. It's not 30, it's not like that's what I mean by the money.
Right.
And, it is a perfectly reasonable amount of money to pay Isaac Paredes. And again, they don't have another hole outside of the rotation where you're looking to drop 50-60 million dollars on free agents this year. You're gonna sign 2 veteran pitchers in the starting rotation, and you're gonna shore up the rest of your team with guys like you did this year, where it's waiver claims or like Taylor Trammell. Like, it's those that you're not going out and signing a $25 million free agent this year. So you're going to have to spend that money anyway. And I mean, $10 million for Paredes is nothing. And so again, I'm aware that positionally there's not a lot of flexibility here, but look, we've been watching Altuve play second base. It's fine. Well, you'll figure it out. Just throw him out there and see what happens. If it's that bad, you can figure it out later. But that bat needs to be in the lineup somewhere.
Yeah, and I do think, like, if they tell Paredes, like, next week or whenever, I don't know. Like, if they tell him next week, like, hey, you're playing second base for us next year, like, you got a whole winter, like, figure it out. Like, I think that would help. I think certainly, like, getting into spring training after a winter's worth of work at second base, maybe they could turn him into something serviceable. They're not asking him to be Ketel Marte or like someone that's like,
you also have gold glovers at literally every other position on the infield. So it's not like you're.
If you trade Christian Walker, no, you don't.
Well, I'm saying even if you don't do that, even if you say, all right, Paredes, you have to learn second base, like, yeah, the range is going to be an issue, but he can stop everything that gets there. He obviously can field the position, and you've got guys with phenomenal range in Jeremy Pena and Christian Walker next to him, to where you don't need him to cover as much ground as if you didn't have those guys there. So, I'm aware that is not the ideal situation to put Paredes at second base, clearly. But the Astros are in a unique position where they literally have 3 gold glovers in the infield. So they don't need him to cover a substantial amount of ground. And honestly, he can't be covering less ground than what Altuve has been doing. Like it can't be worse than that. And they've been fine doing that. So
They've also been fine with Altuve. If Altuve can handle left field, then Paredes could probably very well handle second base too. If you're running that risk, you have to run that risk as well.
And one thing I will add, I cannot envision a scenario where Carlos Correa moves off of third base.
No.
Given how much he has talked about, it's helping him stay healthy. It's less movement. It's less of a physically demanding position than shortstop. And given honestly how good he is, like,
he's so good.
I mean, just from day one, looked like a natural at third, like we kind of thought he would. So I don't think there's a scenario where Correa moves off of third base. But I also, at this point last year, wouldn't have told you there was a scenario where Jose Altuve played the outfield. So
to me, there's no way that Paredes' defense can be worse than 4 at-bats of Isaac Paredes every day. There's just no way that his defense could be that bad at second base, even if it's not good. The 4 at-bats of Paredes in that lineup is worth more than elite second base defense. Like you're gonna have to put guys in the field that you would prefer not to every day anyway. And Brady's bat is that good that I think it's worth that risk if he's capable of doing. I mean, again, I'm not a scout or a coach, so it could become very obvious 6 weeks into this offseason, like there's no chance that this guy can play second base. I just don't. When you watch him at third base, we talked about all year, like that guy looks good at third base. It's not like he was just, falling over himself at third base and you were just praying nothing was hit to him. He looked good. So I can't imagine a scenario where he is like the laughing stock of the league at second base. And, if he's serviceable at second base, the bat is so valuable that I think you have to find a way to do that if you're not able to find, a place for Walker to be. And even if you do, even if you move Walker and you say, all right, Paredes is at first base, you still have the issue of, okay, his range isn't that great. Altuve is not going to help you at second. Like, then you have to find a guy to play second base every day with, like, I don't know. I don't know if there's that much of an upgrade of if Paredes is playing first base and you find somebody for second base than just having Walker and Paredes over there anyway.
And it should be noted too that it's not as if Isaac Paredes has never played second base. He started 53 games in the big leagues at second base. Again, and I've never seen him play second base.
It can't be harder than third base.
All I'm basing this off of is, scouts and coaches that I have talked to with other teams that have seen Paredes play, scouts that have seen him come up through the minor leagues, and scouts that have seen him, evaluating him. And they just say that the range is obviously not good. The lateral movement is not good, which you don't really have to see at third base. Like, he's good when the ball's hit right at him, and he's good when he's, the ball is hit in a little circle kind of around him. He can get to those balls. And Tony Perez-Chica did help his range a little bit this year. You saw him get to more balls maybe than they thought he would, but having Pena there is a huge insurance because he's a really good rangy shortstop. But I do think, like, if they do come to that decision to play him at second base, give him a winter, let him go work with his infield, whoever his coaches are, let him work with the Astros coaches, like, see if they can get it serviceable, because I agree with you, Tyler. Like,
he'll be fine. It'll be fine. He's not gonna. He's 26 years old. Like, he's not this ancient, like, guy who can't move. He'll be fine. It can't be that bad at second base.
Right. Josh, how was Maverick and Ryder's birthday party?
That day is always exhausting, man. Up at 7, setting up for the party that starts at 11:30. But it's always a great time. There's plenty of great food. There's plenty of inflatables, and it's a really good time because we do piñatas, we do everything. And imagine, I always tell people, if you come to one of my parties and you leave hungry or bored, then that's on you, because we've always got plenty of food, we've got plenty of stuff for you to do, and there's always something. We even provided the beverages, so you didn't have to bring anything. You just had to bring your swim trunks and show up, man. It was a good time. We had a mechanical bull, so we got some dads that thought they were still in their element and quickly realized how old they were. No, I did not get on it because I'm smarter than that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a great time.
Who's got the better piñata swing?
Of my kids,
Mm-hmm.
Ryder's got that natural lefty swing, but this was a tough one. We had a big old number 6, and it was Hot Wheel themed. We probably had 25 kids take 3 swings each, and nobody could crack it. And we even let one of Maverick's little, I think he's 20, 21 years old. He tried to hit it and couldn't break it. It was kind of disappointing, actually.
Mm.
And then I had
you have to get out there and show off.
I had to go out there. I didn't even hit it. I just ripped it open.
You were giving the kids what they wanted.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. They were getting antsy, and they start, when that circle gets tighter, that's where a kid gets hit in the face. So we handled it, and took care of business. So great party, great.
Your Bulldogs going to handle Auburn this week?
Yeah. It's not Alabama, so I'm really not sweating. The only time I sweat is play Alabama, and we saw how that happened again. So
what's it like to have a loss? I can't relate to you guys.
College football has been great this year, though. So many
Agreed.
upsets, so many good games. And we talk about it. You just got to get in. You get in the playoffs. Anything can happen. Doesn't matter who you play. So they're top 10 right now, and we stay in there. We'll be fine.
Who does Lassie play this week, Tyler?
You know what? We play the team that just beat Texas, the number 1 ranked team in the country, as long as you stopped paying attention 2 months ago. We have Florida. And look, I like I said, I can't relate to you people with losses. We're the best team in the world, and they're never going to let me down. They never have. They never will. So Texas A&M, the best college football team of all time. So watch out, suckers.
Last time won a national championship
this year. I'll let you know.
Yeah. Okay. We'll talk about this and we'll recap it all on Sunday when we come back with another Crush City Territory episode presented by Fox One. You can follow me on X at Chandler_Rome, follow Josh at JRedDubDeuce, and follow Tyler at Tyler C. Stafford. As always, please rate and review us on Apple and Spotify. You can leave comments on the Spotify episode. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel to see anytime a new Crush City Territory episode is posted. Like I said, we will be back on Sunday to discuss college football, the remaining American League playoff race. We didn't even talk about the playoffs. That was a hell of a swing by Aaron Judge.
Go Blue Jays. That away. Yankees,
Go Springer. Did you see the Vladdy clip? That was so good.
Yeah. And, let's come on, Phillies. Get them out of there. Get them out of there. We don't like
that's gonna be a tough one.
Good luck.
By then, we should know who has advanced to play for a pennant, and we will discuss that on Sunday. But until then, thanks as always for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
This episode felt like lunch with my kids, all this tender talk. Bye.